Hello, my friends, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. It is Miskatonic Monday, which means I have played a game demo, and now I'm going to talk about it for you. Going forward, I'm going to try to focus on game demos where the game is already released or about to release, just because I think it makes a little more sense. If you disagree with that idea, please feel free to say so down in the comments. I know a lot of games find it helpful if people wishlist far in advance, but at the same time, I don't want to show people things that may not ever come out. Nobody wants their wish list full of games that just never appear. So let me know your thoughts down on that. I'd appreciate it. But for today, I went with the smash hit all of a sudden called Schedule 1. And I had a good time. Straight up, I enjoyed dealing drugs. Actually, there were a number of things I enjoyed, but we will talk about that in a minute. The small blurb they have is, from small-time dope pusher to kingpin, manufacture and distribute a range of drugs throughout the grungy city of Highland Point. Expand your empire with properties, businesses, employees, and more. So there is plenty to experience. Even in that little period of time, it took me about 2 hours and 15 minutes to get to what I could consider the end of the demo. So it's a pretty good sized demo, and it was fun. Now, this is early access, so there are probably plenty of bugs to figure out. There was a little bit of what I would call clipping for some of it, but it's fine. I'm sure that we'll figure that out down the road. So to go over about the game a little bit, starts with Schedule 1 drugs. Substances or chemicals are defined as drugs with no currently accepted medical use and high potential for abuse. So obviously marijuana is a Schedule 1 drug, at least according to the DEA. We won't get into the discussion of if that's the way it should be or not, but here we are. You do manufacture, you do distribute. I didn't get as far as some of this stuff is, but there was definitely some of it going on. I had my own little grow tents, and you'll see in a minute what all I had. I didn't get to fight anybody. I tend to avoid that anyway. And then you can invite your friends in. It really does depict the simplified production, distribution, and sale of illegal drugs. It also contains non-realistic violence in the form of melee and firearm combat. Again, I didn't get into the combat. I did distribute some marijuana, though. But let's go ahead and take a look at the gameplay. So this game starts out the same way every other game does, with a menu screen. Go figure. They do, of course, have the list of full features for when you purchase the entire game. As you see, it is already released. It released on March 24th. The fact that it's already doing the numbers that it's doing is insane. But to be fair, it got in front of a popular YouTuber who, of course, then streamed it and everybody else saw it. And it has a genuinely fun gameplay. I mean, I'm almost tempted to call it kind of a cozy drug sim, but I don't know if those are words that should be combined in that particular order. I mean, it had that feeling for me, but I just played the demo, so I didn't get into a lot of the fights or anything. You discover that you are apparently a small town drug dealer from the south, and you're in a fresh town with no cash, no product, no contacts, and you know only one way to make money, and it's time to get to work. Now, the assets aren't exactly the most shiny and polished of any. It's very blocky and simple, but that is kind of the charm of it, to be fair. The fact that they call it free sample is very cute, as part of what you end up doing in the beginning is trying to give people free samples. But of course you start with the customization. The body customizations are actually pretty interesting. They have strictly male and female. However, what you can do is you can pick a male body and then make yourself female, but when you do that, it does adjust the shape of the character. And I was kind of fascinated by that. I found it very interesting. Also found it very interesting that, male one and female one are really kind of the same face, just basically with different hair. It seemed that way all the way down. But after you pick your body type and all that, you get to pick your hair, and they have a few different types of hair. Pretty good variety, especially since apparently there's more in the full version. So if they're holding back, there must be an awful lot in the full version, which impressive. That's really cool. Then you get to play with your face. You don't have a lot of face choices, but you have enough. Some freckles and wrinkles if you want them. Then you can play with your eyeball color. You can make yourself look like Towley, basically, from South Park, which this whole visual style gives me that kind of feeling. And of course, change your pupil dilation, your upper and lower eyelids. You can basically make yourself with your eyes closed if you want. And finally, there are the clothing. You have a good amount of choice for clothing, shirts, pant bottoms. You can even go naked, should you choose. I didn't, of course. I went with a nice plaid shirt and jean combo with some slippers, or with some sandals. And then once you're done with that, you get your first text message, and it is from your Uncle Nelson. Now, there's one thing about the game they never really do explain, which is basically that for some reason, somehow, in some way, Uncle Nelson always knows where you are. And it's a little strange, but it is a thing. But Uncle Nelson, gives you a few tips. He tells you that there's a drop box of money that he left behind that the cops didn't find before they put him in jail, and you get to go find it. It is by the skate park. Skate park is pretty easy to find. Not exactly the most impressive skate park in the world, but it is a skate park. Once you find the money, your uncle directs you to check into the hotel. In the course of looking for the money, of course, I found a number of very interesting scribbles on the walls. This one right here took me back to my middle school days of butt sex. No, not actual butt sex, just, how kids were back in that age. The graffiti in the game is definitely one of the features, one of the good features. It's very amusing. I would love to see what else they have. Of course, they have down by here. I really like this one. I will build no dynasty. I will consume corporate slop. Soy juice and insect protein will fuel me. Gentrification equals monochrome utopia. It's a very, very interesting little drawing there. I have no idea what it's supposed to mean, I'll be entirely honest. But as I said, you find the money. Well, you can find the money. I found that there's a bin in which you can turn trash into money first. And I found that to be a fantastic feature. I made probably a couple $100 just from that over the time in which I played the game because, well, the people in this town are absolute litter bugs. They cannot for the life of them throw shit away. It was terrible. It was driving me crazy. I had to pick up everything. But you finally find his drop spot, or his dead drop. You pull the money out and you go and you visit with the hotel manager. You rent yourself a room. It's not the prettiest room. I was impressed with the fact that you get an Atari, though. You also get a bloodstain, but that doesn't matter. You're not in the room very long, as long as you play the game through. It's a reasonable starting spot, for a person in a new area. You have to remember that there is a curfew in this area. So from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m., there aren't supposed to be people around. I didn't go out and test that just because I am that kind of strange person. I decided I was role-playing the good drug dealer who deals the drugs to everybody and then tries to clean up the world around me with the drug money while earning money. So there is obviously a night and day system, you do that whole thing. The Atari was great. The games they had, Egg Run, Pong, Snake. The egg has little balls. And I couldn't help it. I had to play with them. I was distinctly disappointed that the balls didn't jiggle or anything. But let's face it, this game did a lot of other things. Maybe someday they will add jiggle physics to the Atari egg run guy. Maybe. Probably not. They don't need to. That's just me being silly. But that was a lot of fun. It took me back a little bit to, the days when I played Atari. Because let's face it, I'm old. But very cute feature. So you get into your next day. You go down to the hardware store. You pass the little mushroom head guy is what we're calling him for YouTube's sake. Then you go down to the hardware store where you pick up your first grow set. Now, of course, to be able to purchase from the hardware store, you first have to deposit money into the bank because apparently the hardware store doesn't take cash. That's weird, but whatever. So you get your grow stuff, you go back to your hotel room, you set up your hotel room, you put your dirt. And some of the places where they decide to integrate physics and stuff are really fascinating. For example, there's some physics involved in getting the dirt into the pots. There's the watering kind of mini game. to top it off, and that's enjoyable, then your uncle contacts you and says he put in a good word with the guy who provides seeds, and you get your seeds, you plant your seeds. I, at that point, went to bed, and when I woke up, ta-da, plants. Which point you get to play the cut the buds off the plant minigame after going down and buying a pair of shears and a packing station and some trash bags, because at this point in time my trash was full. But the plus side of throwing out my trash is that I could then take it into the trash for money bin and make money throwing my trash away. Really great. Love it. That honestly, the trash money for money system's probably my favorite part of the game. Ironically, I could probably play a pick up trash on the side of the road simulator. Let's be honest. There's just something satisfying about cleaning up an area. So you harvest your buds, you put down your packing station, you get your little baggies, you put a bud in a baggie, you throw it in the bin, you open your phone, and you put it up for sale. There is a product app on your phone where you just mark it on for sale, and it's great. Then you start doing the thing where you meet people around town and selling them drugs. They give you money for the drugs. You give them drugs. You come back, you grow more drugs. At some point, you start to notice that there are cops. Cops will stop and search you. That is a mini game all of its own, because when the cops stop and search you, you then have to choose a spot. Well, you have to hope you put them in a far enough back. The cops will search your inventory from left to right. So hopefully you put your drugs far enough in your inventory that before they get them, you can click and hold on to the spot the drugs are in. You can only click and hold on to one spot. So you need to put it far enough back that you can click the spot, and preferably only have one thing on your person. Otherwise, you're going to have to play, gee, I hope I can click this spot and get to the other spot fast enough before the cop finds it. I did not, again, get caught in that period of time, so I can't report what happens there because I don't like to get caught. I'm not going to get caught just to show other people what happens. I will leave that adventure for you, the gamer. But in order to grow your network, you then have to start approaching people and offering them free samples. That is, giving them one bud and letting them smoke it, and hopefully they like it enough. Now, at the beginning, you only have one kind of weed, so it's harder to hit the right thing. I kind of kept a few of them, trying to get to the point where I had a couple more effects. I only ended up with, well, actually, by the time I had a few different types of marijuana, just because I was introduced to mixing, and that got some interesting stuff there. But yeah, there really is a lot in the 2-hour period that you go through. The game, for what it is really well thought out. Yes, it's a simplistic version of drug dealing. If you are morally opposed to that, you're not going to like this game. If you are morally ambivalent to things you do in a video game, you may very well enjoy this video game. It was entertaining. It kept my attention. I did not feel like I played for 2 hours. I didn't. It was just very easy to get through, is the best way I think to put it. So for me, I'm going to say this is a game that is worth taking a chance on. It's only $16.99. You will probably get a good, 20, 30, 40 hours of enjoyment out of it. So realistically, cost benefit wise, it's worth it. It's early access. God only knows what they'll do with it in the future. And it can be played with friends. That's not something I've tried yet, and maybe I will in the future. I don't know. Well, I'd have to buy the game first. But we all know where I am on that currently. Wedding first, games later. And there's so many games. So many games. Yet here I am helping you decide what games you should buy. And looking at what games I should buy too. Because God knows I will buy more games. It's just the way it is. But yeah, for an early access game, Schedule 1 appears to be very entertaining, at least from what I've seen in the demo. Give the demo a try yourself if you're interested. If you have already, let me know down in the comments what your thoughts were. I love to read your comments. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you really enjoyed it, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell. If you really liked it, feel free to share it with others. I'd love to hear what they think too, so drop your thoughts in the comments below. A special thanks to the channel members for their amazing support. You are the best. Interested in joining them? Check out the description for more info, and I will catch you later.